We're going to talk with Travis Kiger. He's a Fullerton City Councilman. He's one of the new councilmen who won a seat after the recall of the 3 Fs in the wake of the Kelly Thomas killing. And now they're seriously looking at disbanding the Fullerton Police Department and contracting out with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. There's 150 sworn officers in Fullerton, and it costs about $35 million or so. And we're going to get Travis Kiger on to see why they would want to disband the entire department after, because there's obviously other issues beyond Kelly Thomas. Travis, welcome to the John and Ken Show.
Hi guys, how you doing?
So it's not just the Kelly Thomas killing. There must be a lot of other issues if you were seriously looking at liquidating the department.
Well, yeah, we've had a lot of issues in the past, and you know, right now what we're asking is that the city council would go ask the sheriff to find out how much it would cost to switch over to the Orange County Sheriff, and it's really a financial issue, and we just want to see how much they would be able to handle our police services for. It's nothing more than that.
Is it but it's not a financial issue, is it?
Well, it is. I mean, police are very expensive, and if you look at how much of our funds are being used for police services, it's almost half of our general fund just for police, just for 150 officers and support services. So, if we can do it cheaper, we owe it to the taxpayers to at least take a look at that and find out what it would cost.
Yeah, that sounds like it's in line, though, with most cities. I see that fire and police seem to cost anywhere from 2/3 to 3/4 of most city budgets, especially for a town your size.
Yeah, that might be true. And every city is kind of facing this issue where, funds are being limited because of the down economy, and, pension costs are starting to rise. So cities are having to figure out how to, keep their current police force up without, going back out to the taxpayers for more money.
Is that it? Is it the looming pension costs more than anything? It's
a very serious issue that cuts into our budget every year more and more. And, frankly, I don't know how much longer we can do this. And the other issues that we have had a lot of problems with our police department where, we could end up paying out a lot for lawsuits in the city of Fullerton because of all the things that have happened.
Well, give us an idea. Give us an idea what else has happened, because I think most people, obviously there's financial issues, but most people are thinking, all right, what else is going on that didn't get headlines like Kelly Thomas? Because it would almost seem like, you guys just want to get rid of this department. It's just too much trouble.
Well, we've had officers that, it's taken a long time to get them terminated for, alleged sexual assault on women and things like that. There's been other stories that have been in the headlines, officers who have had to been fired for stealing. It's been a real string of personnel problems, that are costing the city money. And a lot of these guys sit on paid leave for a year. While the city's having to investigate. And, meanwhile, the other officers are making up with overtime, time and a half, to cover their shift. It gets very, very expensive to deal with these personnel problems. And so, one of the alternatives that we might have to look at is, what happens if we contract an outside agency like other cities in Orange County have done.
What do you think the root cause of all the personnel problems is? Is it the police chief creating a certain kind of environment? Is it the kind of people they were hiring?
Yeah, both of those things. There's a culture within the department, at least there has been in the past, where certain officers are able to get away with a lot of things that they wouldn't normally be able to because they're friends with the right person inside the department, or this is what guys inside the police department have told me personally. And then we've had a couple of police chiefs who have, really not done their job as far as being leaders and, have let on some guys who, probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. And then when they do misbehave, they don't get fired. They get, they get shielded. So that kind of stuff creates problems.
Finances aside, what's the drawbacks of having the county sheriff's patrol Fullerton?
I guess the biggest argument that some people will make is that we'll lose local control, which could be a very valid case. But right now we're just trying to find out, is there a price difference, and what is that local control worth? Is it worth $2 million? Is it worth $5 million? Is it worth $10 million? We just got to be free to get to the bottom of this and find out. And the other issue is, what is local control? How much control does the city council have over their police force in California, where all the officers are protected by very strict laws, and it's very difficult to discipline.
Yeah, people might wonder, will they get the same type of coverage if you have sheriff's deputies? Will there be enough of them? Will they be able to respond as quickly? There'll be a lot of questions, I'm sure, from the public.
Sure. We'll need to make sure that we get an apples-to-apples comparison on every aspect.
I guess it depends how much you want to pay for, right?
That's right. And, they'll hopefully put a number out, and we'll be able to look at it and compare it to what we got right now and what we're paying right now, and more importantly, what we're going to pay in the future as our costs rise dramatically due to pension debt. We're going to have to. 150
sworn officers. Is that normal for a town your size? 144,000 people. Is that below average, above average? I mean, you must have done comparisons to see.
It's probably normal for our size city. What happens when the sheriff comes in is they eliminate some of the management structure and kind of make the organization flatter. That's what I've heard in the past. So meaning, you have more guys on the ground for your money, and less management and less cronyism as guys move up the food chain.
Now, apparently you have a deal in place, though, with the union for the police officers through next year anyway, or even through 2014, this guy says, Barry Kaufman?
Yeah, we got a deal going out a couple of years. I don't know how that'll play into this yet. That's part of the evaluation process. There's a lot of different things that the city could do to honor the contract and make sure that everything's taken care of.
And apparently you're bringing in a heavy hitter here on the pensions. Stanford University's Institute for Economic Policy Review, which we talked about a while back, they mentioned that public pensions could be $500 billion in the hole in California. And you might bring in this Joe Nation guy to study Fullerton's pension system?
Yeah, Joe's the guy who's done some really good studies for San Jose and San Francisco, and just to really get down to the numbers and find out exactly what Fullerton taxpayers will be on the hook for over the next 30, 40 years, and how that will affect the money that we're able to spend on things. Here we got a big problem with our infrastructure. As the money for our infrastructure has been siphoned off to pay for these pensions and the salaries of the city employees, and now our streets are crumbling, and we got to figure out long term how we're going to be able to pay to repair this stuff and keep up our services.
All right, Travis, thanks for talking to us, and we'll follow this story, see what happens next.
Travis Kiger is Fullerton City Councilman. He's one of the new city councilmen who replaced one of the recalled councilmen after
the three Fs
after the Kelly Thomas killing.
Yeah, they have a meeting tomorrow night. Well, this will at least come up, whether or not they'll put out a bid for the Orange County Sheriff's Department to take over police duties in Fullerton, which most people hear it, they're going to be like, well, that's the fallout from the Kelly Thomas beating. But, as we talked to Travis, there's a lot of other issues, particularly financial issues involved, too.
Yeah, I mean, I was driving over my crumbling neighborhood streets. Galls me every day. It's the same thing. It's like we have horrible crumbling streets filled with potholes and cracks and weeds, and we have to pay pensions instead. And this is the way life is every day for the rest of our lives. We're going to just watch the whole infrastructure in Southern California crumble so that ancient police officers can get paid six-figure salaries when they're 95 years old.
Yeah, and that's because, when they gave out that pension deal to CHP officers, Gray Davis, in 1999, it allowed local police departments to kind of point fingers and say, well, they're getting that, we want that, and it's built up around the state the last 13 years to the point where you may have other cities, not just Fullerton, saying, well, maybe we should get the sheriff's deputies in here because we can't afford this anymore. I don't know. You said that police and fire are being 75% of some budgets.
Yeah. That
just seems like a lot. How are you going to provide other basic services?
Well,
public safety, you and I agree, has to be the first priority. That doesn't mean you spend, 80% of the money you take.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean, every cop is needed. They have a holy grail in Los Angeles. Oh, you have to have 10,000 cops.
Yeah, the magic number.
And to me, that sounds like stupid Villar's million potholes and million trees. It's a big round number that he wants to sell. So what if we had 9,800, 9,500, 9,200? When crime goes down, do you need that many officers? If crime went down not because of a police occupation, but because of changes in society. Sometimes things just change. Demographically,
yeah.
People, you might have a baby boom where you have a lot of young guys out in the streets at the same time, and then they all age together. They get too old. They end up in prison. They end up dead, whatever. And then suddenly the next generation, there aren't as many of those as those guys, and they act differently because they saw what happened to their parents' generation. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference in societies as time goes on. So maybe in 1992 you needed 10,000 officers. Maybe in 2012 you don't. All right, we'll continue. We got Tax Revolt 2012 coming up after 5 o'clock. John and Ken, KFI, AM 640. More stimulating talk radio.
There's news, and then